Today we are back in Generation 5 attempting a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon White using only Bug-type Pokemon. For those that don't know what a hardcore Nuzlocke is, it is a self-imposed set of rules to make each one of these runs more difficult, and we are doing a monotype challenge, meaning we are only using one Pokemon type. Now the rules for a hardcore Nuzlocke can be found in the description below, but in short, we can only catch the first Bug-type Pokemon we encounter. We have to nickname it, and if it faints, it is dead. We have to permanently box it. What makes this a hardcore Nuzlocke is we cannot use items in battle. Held items, of course, are okay. No overleveling past the next gym leader's ace Pokemon or the Elite Four. And we have to play with the battle mode on set. Now, of course, just like with most monotype runs, the starter is not the type that we are trying to get. None of these Pokemon are bug type, and we have a little bit of an issue with the bug-type Pokemon, so I used the Universal Randomizer to change Snivy into Venipede. The problem that we have is the first bug-type Pokemon that we can encounter isn't until we get to the Pinwheel Forest after the second gym. I know, yes, you can get to the Pinwheel Forest before you take on Lenora, but you cannot get to the patches of grass needed to encounter either a Venipede or a Sewaddle. That was the choice that I had. We could either get Venipede or Sewaddle, and the reason I didn't go with Sewaddle is because there's going to be some Fire-type Pokemon that we take on early on, and I think Venipede holds the best chance for success. Sewaddle being quad weak, I think we would just be hitting our head against a wall and making things unnecessarily difficult. This is already going to be a difficult run because you guys know Bug-type Pokemon are not regarded as some of the strongest Pokemon. As a matter of fact, early on, they were one of the weakest Pokemon, and as the generations have progressed, they've gotten better with deeper move pools, better dual typing, and better stab options. They still leave a lot to be desired on the defensive side, and can easily be taken out by Fire-type moves, Rock-type moves, or Flying-type moves. The other choice that I had, because I was mulling this over quite a bit, is that I could have given myself a Volcarona. Now, technically, you can get a Larvesta egg after you get access to Surf, which I will be showing off later on, but the Volcarona that is here in black and white cannot be found until post-game, and it is level 70. Larvesta only learns predominantly physical moves during level up. It is a pseudo-legendary Pokemon, and the fact that we take neutral damage from fire, there was a lot of things that I considered. Volcarona is an amazing Pokemon, and you guys know with Quiver Dance and Bug Buzz or Flamethrower, you can easily wipe a lot of different teams with that singulatory Pokemon. So I figured it was a bit too overpowered to start the game off with, so we went with Venipede instead. It's going to give us a nice balance of challenge and luck getting through this early part of the game. Venipede's claim to fame here in the early game is that it knows Rollout. That is not a great move to set yourself up with when you're battling trainers. Locking yourself into something that you can't switch out of is never good, as I learned early on when I first started doing Nuzlocks. But it is the option that we have to go with. The fact that Tepig doesn't have the fighting type means that Rollout is super effective, and with Defense Curl, we can set that up, of course boosting our first Rollout and make it through the early part of this game. This also means it's pretty luck-based, so these first couple of major battles we could easily wipe, and we may have to start over, but eventually we will get through this and make it to where we can get new encounters and see how the Generation 5 bug Pokemon make it through the Generation 5 games. Let's officially meet our starter, Jackal. It has a Jolly plus speed minus special attack and nature. I've never used any of these Pokemon, so it's going to be very interesting to see what they can do. I know that its evolution Scolipede is a beast of a Pokemon, so I'm excited to have this thing on the team. I've only played through this game a few times, but I think this is the first time that I've ever seen the spring. And here on Route 1, this is just absolutely gorgeous. I love the changing seasons. There's a lot to be loved with the Generation 5 games. Now, as soon as we arrive in Accumula Town and do a little bit of storyline stuff, we do get to meet the Pajama PETA people, also known as Team Plasma. Anytime you have any group of people talking about any kind of control, and also is very organized, such as Getsus and his cronies, you know it's going to be a bad time in the Pokemon world. Of course, that is our final battle, and I know this because I've played through the game many, many times. Now, as the crowd talks and eventually disperses, we get to meet our third rival of the game, N. We have Cheren, Bianca, and N. None of them we can nickname, so in my head I have nicknamed all of them Algorithm, because we were trying to beat the algorithm in-game and in real life. The in-game algorithm's actually going to be difficult. N is one of the last two battles that we have in-game, but I will deal with that later. The real-life algorithm I need your help to beat, and you can help me defeat it by liking the video, commenting on the video, subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, or sharing this video with your friends. Week in and week out, you guys have been doing an amazing job, and we would not be making the progress if it wasn't for you, so I cannot thank you enough. The support has been amazing, and I can't wait to see the continued growth. Thank you guys ever so much. Now, as you all know, bug types are relatively frail. Brute force and ignorance is not going to win me most of these battles. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to tread lightly and carefully. Since I've played through these games a few times now, I do know where a lot of different things are, and I was more than prepared for this Bianca battle. In my very first run, I was running full steam ahead, and this one caught me off guard, but instead, I am fully healed up and some EV training under my belt. The same thing happened with N before we took him on in Accumula Town. That is the key to winning these battles, strategy and knowledge. I know where my encounters are, there is 8 of them, I know when I'm going to get them, I know where TMs are, and I know where the held items are, so that should make this run at least doable. Nothing's going to be easy, let's be honest. Immediately following the Bianca battle, in the trainer school, we do have a spout with Cheren, and this is actually going to be easier than the Bianca battle because rollout is super effective against the Tepig. This is the point of the game where we're learning about berries and held items and stuff. It's nothing. We make it through this battle relatively unscathed, and now we need to do a little bit more training before we take on the first gym leader. Now, the first gym leader is going to be Chili because we technically chose Snivy as our starter, and he has the Panseer that is super effective against us. I love this first gym. You get to fight a trainer that is super effective against you, but if you go to the Dream Yard, you can get the Elemental Monkey that is super effective against them. It's a neat little thing that only Gen 5 does. Now, after a defense curl, provided our rollouts hit, we should easily be able to knock out his 2 Pokemon, and this should be a relatively easy win. What also helps is we did a bunch of EV training, and with the way that the experience curve is skewed after you gain so many levels, it is very easy to EV train here in Generation 5. You couple that with the fact that you take less than a step in grass and you're encountering a Pokemon, the grind wasn't that bad to get to level 14 and have some really good attack EVs and even a couple of speed EVs. We didn't quite get fully maxed out on one stat, but we got damn close, and that is the beauty of Gen 5. Now, as the Panseer comes out, we do outspeed it and hit it with one more rollout. That is a turn 3 rollout to easily one-shot it, winning us the first gym. We're out on Route 3 and we're still in the early game, so we're still burdened by the fact that we really only have rollout as our major strategy. Now, I decide against setting up a defense curl and just start doing damage against Tepig because technically it does have Ember, but Cheren is just going for defense curl. I don't know why that is, but it sets up 2 of them after its Oranberry is used, and then we can take it out with a 3rd turn rollout. This means when the Purloin comes out, we are definitely going to outspeed it, and if we hit it, which we do, we one-shot. In the Wellspring Cave, we pick up the TM for Thief, which is really nice, and now I'm going to spend some time in here just running back and forth, trying to get some gems to boost some of our attacking moves for future fights. This is going to take some time. Just before entering the gym in Nacreon City, we have a battle with N. He leads with a Pidove that is super effective against us, but we have rollout that's super effective against it, and we do almost half. It opts to go for Leer, which is random, so we can take it out with a 2nd rollout. This does put us in prime position as he sends out his Timpole, because a 3rd rollout one-shots it. Now, Timber being a fighting type, takes not very effective damage from rollout, so a turn 4 rollout doesn't take it out, but it sets up a focus energy. We connect with our turn 5, and we win. Going into the battle with Lenora is a little bit scary. Her Pokemon could easily take us out. Our only strategy is rollout, and to make matters worse, her Herdier has Intimidate, lowering our attack as soon as we enter the battle, and there's nothing else we can do. So this is going to be very luck-based, and we could wipe here, but let's see how this plays out. We set up a defense curl not for the defense buff, but for the buff to roll out and Herdier opts to go for Leer. That's perfectly fine with me, dropping us back down to neutral defense. I then click rollout and we have nothing else to do but sit here and put our controller down and wait and watch as we do pathetic damage and get hit with another Leer. That is very, very scary, but Jackal is a unit and gets a critical hit to knock out the Herdier. That is amazing. Watchhog comes out, takes quite a bit of damage from our turn 3 rollout, and then Lenora throws the battle going for Leer. So as a 4th rollout actually hits, we didn't miss any of them. That is awesome. We knock out the Watchhog without ever taking a tick of damage. As a reward, we of course get the gym badge, and we get an evolution on the team with Jackal evolving into a beastly Whirlipede. This is a very defensively bulky Pokemon, so I am happy to have it on the team. In the Pinwheel Forest, we finally get another encounter, a Sewaddle that we nicknamed Hobgoblin. It has a naughty plus attack, minus special defense nature. Can you guys guess the name theme? I think with this Pokemon you can. We didn't make it too difficult this week. Now we're going to put this thing in the lead and start doing some training. Let's make our way through Pinwheel Forest. We finally make our way to the big city of Castelia, and as you guys know, there's a plethora of items at our disposal here. We just have to go in and take every single one of them. If it isn't nailed down, I'm sticking it in my bag and we're walking away. Specifically, of course, we are after the Eviolite. Maybe a couple of the TMs. There is Rest, Attract, and Flash that can be found here, but we have to go down, of course, the right alleyway. I do love this town. It is a great one to walk through, but as we come through this alley here, a guy jumps out from behind the dumpster wearing sunglasses and gives us the TM for Flash. That is definitely an innuendo there. Just put it away, dude. Let me continue my run. With some more training under our belt, trying to get enough Pokemon in the decks for the Eviolite, we have another evolution on the team with Hobgoblin evolving into a Swadloon. This is an amazing Pokemon, but now it is time to do some running around to get its friendship to the max. So that before we take on Berg, the Bug-type gym leader, we have a fully evolved Leavanny, which is an amazing Pokemon. It is a great attacker, and it is a very fast Pokemon. So it is a very welcome addition to the team. Plus, having a fully evolved Pokemon is always awesome. Now, Berg is a Bug-type trainer that we strive to be like. He does have a Dwebble on his team. I can't wait to get my hands on one of those. He leads with a Whirlipede, and I lead Jackal. Now, we are going to go with a tried-and-true strategy here. We're going to set up rollouts and try to sweep his entire team. There's not much his team can do. I know we have Leavanny, but it can't do much to any of these Pokemon, so rollout it is. Pursuit does not do much damage to us. A second rollout does drop the Whirlipede low, and we get hit with a resisted Poison Tail that doesn't do any damage to us, and then Berg opts for a Hyper Potion, fully healing up his Whirlipede. A third turn rollout then connects and knocks out the Whirlipede very nicely. Dwebble then comes out, we outspeed it and hit it with a fourth turn rollout, and luckily for us it doesn't have Sturdy, so we one-shot. Leavanny is then last out for Berg. It does outspeed us, but just hits us with a Struggle Bug that is resisted, and we connect with a 5th turn rollout to easily one-shot and knock out the Leavanny, winning us the 3rd gym badge. Before we can get to the Desert Resort and get our hands on our next encounter, we have a couple of rival battles, starting with Bianca in the gate leading to Route 4. We're at the point where we have some coverage against her team, so this shouldn't be very difficult as we knock out her Herdier in one Razor Leaf. The Panseer coming out is a little bit scary because we are quad weak to fire, but I swap into Jackal that has the held Eviolite, so an Incinerate doesn't do any damage to us. Poison Tail doesn't quite knock out the Panseer, and we're at the point where we're going to stop using Rollout. The Yawn does suck because Bianca goes for a Super Potion. We put it back into low red health with another Poison Tail, but then fall asleep. She goes for another Super Potion, and really, there's nothing to do but just stay in and wait out the sleep turns. With the held Eviolite, we're not going to take much damage, and we can't be burned because we are asleep. So after a few rounds of Incinerate, we wake up and hit a Poison Tail. One more Incinerate drops us to 34 HP before we finally take out the damn Panseer with another Poison Tail. Jesus. Munna coming out. That's fine. We can easily swap here so that we're in prime position for her Dewott. It just goes for Imprison on the swap in. I opt to go for Bug Bite for the one-shot. Very nice. And last but not least for Bianca is the Dewat that we are primed up with a Razor Leaf so we can one-shot it, winning us the battle. The battle with Charon on Route 4 is a bit scary. The sandstorm means that we're going to take chip damage over time, and the way his team is, I need to set up rollouts. And as you guys know, locking ourselves into a move is very dangerous. We tank the air cutter very well, a little bit of chip from sandstorm, and then we take out the Pidove with another rollout. As his Pignite comes out, it is now John Squeala, a fighting type, so it doesn't get knocked out with the third turn of rollout. Flame Charge hits us hard, but also boosts its speed. So then it goes for Defense Curl. Luckily, we could have survived another Flame Charge if it hadn't crit, but we can take it out with a fourth turn rollout. Luckily for us, these moves are hitting. Pansage comes out and takes the fifth turn rollout to the face, and now we are out of rollout turns as the Liepard comes out and we are sitting low health. So I swap, but it goes for Pursuit, which we survive on 7 HP. We almost lost our starter, Jackal. Hobgoblin comes out and mops up the Liepard with a stab super effective Bug Bite, but that was a very scary battle. But as a reward, in the Desert Resort, we can pick up a Dwebble we named Sandman with a lonely plus attack minus defense nature. Again, can you guess the name theme? Should be relatively easy at this point. Once we arrive in Nimbasa City, we are forced to take an awkward Ferris wheel ride with N, where he reveals to us that he is the king of Team Plasma and he is looking for a queen. I don't have a problem with that. Getsis, though, is a little sketchy, kind of flaky, so we're going to have to talk about that. N does not like our comment about Getsis, so he challenges us to a battle. Now, he's got a Darumaka and a Sigilyph that are going to come out in succession, so we need to be set up and ready. Rollout doesn't do much to Sandile, Assurance doesn't do much to us, and then we get hit with an embargo that means we can't use items anymore. Oh no. Turn 3 of Rollout knocks out the Sandile. We connect with turn 4 against the Darumaka to one-shot it, and this puts us in prime position as the Sigilyph comes out. We connect, and we one-shot. Amazing. That Pokemon has stab flying moves that would do some serious damage to our team and could easily have knocked us out. As the Scraggy comes out, I decide to swap because Jackal's done enough in this battle, and I bring in Hobgoblin. We get hit with a Swagger on the swap-in, which is very annoying, but I decide to go for it and click Razor Leaf. We break through Confusion to hit it with a stab, Razor Leaf, one-shotting it. Get rid of Getsis and I will be your queen. Elisa and her team should never be taken lightly. Her volt-switching Emolgas are very dangerous, and then she's got a Zebstrika with Flame Charge, so things can go south very fast. I have a plan, but it does risk a bit. There's nothing we can do to have a quote-unquote clean battle. We, of course, are going to get outsped and hit with that Volt Switch. These Emolgas are very, very annoying. She brings in her second Emolga, and it gets hit with a stab super effective Smackdown that is actually a range to KO, and we get the range. Very nice. She brings in her lead Emolga once again, and I know she's going to Volt Switch, so I swap into Hobgoblin. She does exactly what I thought she would and hits a Volt Tackle. This brings out Zebstrika, who of course does outspeed us and hit a Flame Charge. Luckily for us, it's not stab, and it does not crit, so we survive on 16 HP. We can then fire off a Bug Gem boosted Bug Bite, which is enough to one-shot the Zebstrika, leaving her final Emolga. As it comes out, I need to swap into the only healthy team member, which happens to be Jackal. Luckily for us, we are holding the Eviolite, so the Aerial Ace doesn't do that much damage. Still, it does a decent amount. We get hit with another Aerial Ace, and the only thing I can do is set up rollouts. So turn 1, we hit it with rollout, and it gets a critical hit, taking it to low yellow health. We get hit with one more Aerial Ace, dropping us to 8 HP, and connect with a second rollout to take out the Emolga, winning us the 4th gym badge, Deathless. Before heading to Driftvale, we have a battle with Charon. We have Sandman that hard counters his entire team. We have stab super effective Bug Bites for his Liepard and his Pansage. And then we have Dig and Smackdown to deal with the Pignite and the Tranquil. There's not much that he can do against our team at this point, and these rival battles are pretty trivial. Now, John Squeala is part fighting type, so Smackdown is neutral, not quite doing half, but as you see, Flame Charge is neutral against us. I did teach Sandman Dig so we can burrow underground, and that is going to be enough to take out the Pig Knight, and that just leaves his Tranquil in the back. I don't think we're going to show too many more battles with Charon. There are 14 total rival battles in this game, so things get a little bit crazy with that, but his team is trivial. Sandman is a great counter, and when we evolve it into a Crustal, oh man. Now, Tranquil does put up a little bit of a fight going for Detect, which is annoying, but it's just delaying the inevitable, and of course Rock Slide could miss as well, but Sandman is an absolute unit and connects, winning us the battle. I run straight through Drift Vale and head directly to Route 6 where we can pick up a Carablast named Chameleon. It has a relaxed plus defense and minus speed nature. Minus speed is never great, but it is a welcome addition to the team nonetheless. Now that we have a Pokemon at level 30, we can also get one of the best items in the game, the Expert Belt. Very nice. We can also get an evolution on the team with Jackal fully evolving into a Scolipede. Scolipede? Yeah, I added an O there that's not there. Scolipede. This renders the Eviolite useless, but this is still a beast of a Pokemon. Now you would think a ground-type gym leader with a grass-type Pokemon, things would be super easy, but that is not the case. There was a lot of planning that went into this battle, and some calculations where I found Levani could easily get knocked out by the Excadrill that is in the back. Turn 1 I opt to go for Bug Bite against the Krokorok, and luckily this one doesn't have Intimidate, or that wouldn't have one-shot. This does bring out that beastly Excadrill, and this is the Pokemon I am most scared of. We do outspeed, and we can go for a Grass Gem boosted Razor Leaf. It is not going to one-shot, but it's going to do well over half of Excadrill's health. We get hit with a Bulldoze, which doesn't do much damage, but annoyingly it lowers our speed, which means that the Excadrill outspeeds us the next turn and connects with a nasty Rock Slide. Had that crit, it would have taken us out, but we go unpunished and can fire off a Razor Leaf that just has enough range to take out the Excadrill. That was scary. Chancellor Palpitoad is his last Pokemon. It can't do much to us. It is quad weak to a Razor Leaf, which we fire off and we easily one-shot. Very nice. Bianca is a little bit annoying, but really, her team shouldn't be able to do much. We soak up the Intimidate with Hobgoblin, and then we pivot into Sandman. We tank a takedown very, very well, and then we can fire off some Rock Slides. There's not much her Herdier can do to us. Crunch doesn't do much, and we can fire off another Rock Slide, taking this thing out. This is going to bait out the Dewott, so we're going to swap into our Hobgoblin and take this thing out. Unless Water Pulse connects and gets that 10% chance of confusion. Yeah. I'm not going to show any more of these battles after this unless they go kind of south like this one does. A critical hit leaves us at 44 HP, and then I stay in, mistakenly hurting myself in confusion. Luckily, no critical hit again, and we survive on 13 HP. I'm actually a little bit stunned here at what just happened because I was speeding through this. I do swap in Jackal, and because we're fully evolved and we don't have the Eviolite, Water Pulse does a decent amount of damage. I was a little surprised by that as well. Bug Bite takes Dewott low. Water Pulse leaves us at 30 HP, and one more Bug Bite takes out the Dewott. That's kind of scary, man. I decide to swap as Pansear comes out into Sandman, but we get hit with a Flame Burst that takes us to 13 HP. This is also risky. I go for a Rock Slide, but I have the held wide lens that you can get in Castelia from trading Pokemon, so it wasn't too risky. As Musharna comes out, I probably should have stayed in and just hit a Bug Bite, but I swap into Chameleon, who tanks a Psybeam, but it does a lot of damage, and I go for Bug Buzz. That doesn't do as much damage as I hoped because it is a very weak special attacking move, so I opt for Fury Cutter. Defense Curl doesn't mean anything as another Fury Cutter connects, winning us a very scary battle. In the Chargestone Cave, we can pick up a Joltik that we name Electro. It has a Lax plus defense minus special defense nature, and this one has Compound Eyes instead of a Nerve. Neat. I love this little Pokemon. I think this is one of the cutest Pokemon ever made. Look at that cute little thing. We now have one of the best evolutions happen on the team with our Dwebble finally evolving into a Crustal. This is going to make Sandman an absolute beast. In Mistralton, we can go to the Move Relearner and teach this thing a critical move. We can also get one of the best TMs for my team out on Route 7, X-Scissor. This is going to be a huge stab move for almost every single one of our teammates outside of Electro because it is a special attacker. As you can see, I've actually already taught it to 3 of my Pokemon. On top of the Celestial Tower, I have to ring Skyla's bell, and again, I think there's an innuendo there that I'm just gonna leave alone. Let's walk away. And with the help of a heart scale, we could go to the mover learner here in Mistralton and teach Sandman Shell Smash. I know Electro has some electric type moves and you'd think I would use it against this entire team, but I'm very weak to flying type and that Pokemon can easily be knocked out. Acrobatics doesn't do much to us and we can set up a Shell Smash. This is going to lower our defense, our special defense, but it is going to raise our attack, our special attack, and more importantly, our speed. So now we outspeed her entire team, and with the help of a wide lens, we can one-shot every single one of her Pokemon with a stab super effective Rock Slide. Swoobat, of course, is very easy to set up on. It doesn't have a lot of moves against us. Swanna is dangerous because of its water typing, but again, we outspeed and connect with a stab super effective Rock Slide, one-shotting it. I'd imagine in Black 2 and White 2, this would be a very different battle because she has a Skarmory, but she has an Unpheasant in this game, which again we outspeed and one-shot with a stab, super effective Rock Slide. Well, now we have access to Surf, and deep on Route 18, we can actually come talk to this Poke Ranger here, who gives us a Pokemon egg they said they found in the Relic Castle, which houses Larvesta. Unfortunately, this egg takes over 10,000 steps to hatch, so it's going to be riding on the team for just a little while. Time to do some running. With some training in Twist Mountain, we have another evolution on the team with the Electro evolving into a Galvantula. I absolutely love this Pokemon. Electric bug type, pretty neat typing, super cool Pokemon design as well. Now on Route 8, we can catch ourselves a Shelmet that we named Mysterio. It has a Jolly plus speed and minus special attack nature. With Mysterio on the team, we can now evolve Chameleon and Mysterio himself. Before those evolutions, we do hatch the Larvesta egg, which took a crazy amount of time, but here we have our Larvesta. Very nice. We nickname it Mephisto. It has a bashful neutral nature. More than likely, this Pokemon is just going to ride the box. An unevolved bug-type Pokemon, despite it being Fire Bug, it's just not going to have a place on the team, I don't think. Mysterio can finally evolve. With the help of the Universal Randomizer, all you need is a Carablast on the team for Shelmet to evolve, and for Carablast to evolve, you need a Shelmet on the team. So it's relatively easy. You gain a level, they evolve. A Selgor, never used this Pokemon. We'll see if it's worth its weight. We actually had to catch ourselves another Shelmet to evolve this Pokemon, but Chameleon can finally evolve into an Escavalier. A Bug Steel type Pokemon. I think this thing is definitely going to have a place on the team. And it's a cool ass design as well. As a matter of fact, as we take on Bryson and his ice types, I have a plan with Chameleon. Before we talk about that, I just want to take a second to say, Bryson, I'm really sorry what they did to you in the sequels. We lead with Jackal, even though we're talking about Chameleon, because we're going to set up an agility. Now, via level up, Jackal learned Baton Pass. So we can Baton Pass our speed boost to Chameleon, who has a minus speed nature and would be outsped by all these Pokemon. And we can hit him with a super effective Iron Head that we learned via the move relearner in Mistralton City. As I said, we Baton Pass into Chameleon, and Vanillish is just setting up its defense with Acid Armor. We fire off a stab super effective Iron Head that takes Vanillish very, very low as it sets up another Acid Armor. That's annoying, but that is okay. Bryson then opts to go for a Hyper Potion. Iron Head then takes Vanillish into Yellow Health because of the help of Acid Armor. And then we can outspeed it and take it out with one more Iron Head. Baratic comes out next. Beartic, Baratic, doesn't matter. Falls to a single stab, super effective Iron Head. And this just leaves his Cryogonal, which too gets outsped and taken out with a stab, super effective Iron Head. Nice showing from our new Pokemon. The Black and White games have a lot of Team Plasma stuff and a lot of things that happen in between the battles. I just wanted to show off this cool-ass cutscene with Reshiram. It's absolutely amazing. Very cool Pokemon, very cool animation. The DS was really getting pushed to its limits here at the end of life. Now, since we're playing Pokemon White, Iris is actually the 8th gym leader instead of Drayden. The other neat thing about this is her Druddigon doesn't have rough skin like Drayden's does, so if you want a little less of a challenge, I don't know. We don't have any super effective moves against our Dragon-type Pokemon, so I lead Electro with its newly learned Signal Beam. We get a critical hit to take out the Fracture turn 1. We do have the choice specs on as well that we got from the Battle Subway, but still, that's a pretty good showing for the first time Electro in a major battle. Signal Beam doesn't one-shot the Druddigon, but does do a decent amount of damage, and then we soak up the Night Slash like it was nothing. Very nice. Another Signal Beam is enough to, of course, take out the Druddigon, and this leaves her beastly Haxorus, which we outspeed and hit it with a Signal Beam, and Electro is not screwing around, getting another critical hit to one-shot the Haxorus. Holy crap, that was a great showing, Electro. I did want to take a second to talk about the paths in between the gate checks to Victory Road. Like, this is the first gym, Grass, Fire, and Water. As we go through each one of these gates, the area after represent the gym that you battled. So here we go through the second gate, which is the normal gate, and we have like a normal path layout. Pretty neat. As we go through the third gym, which is a bug gym, we're going to go across this little bug here. Super cool detail. The Generation 5 games, every single time I play them, I remember different little things about them, and I love the playthrough each and every time. There are a few things in Generation 5 I dislike, like the rotation battles and the triple battles, but going through the electric gate and now the ground gate, it's a callback to the gyms that you battled. It is so, so cool. You really have to put a lot of respect to the game designers and what they did here. It's a reason, or there is a big reason why people absolutely love these games. Going across a sky bridge for the flying type gym and then an ice puzzle for the ice type gym. Truly amazing. You know, the the Pokestar Studio stuff in Black 2 and White 2, I mean, we won't talk about that as we go through the last gate, which happens to be the Dragon Gate. Well, after a little bit of time and some leveling up, here is the team that I'm going to attempt the Elite Four with. We have Mysterio, the Acelgor with Bug Buzz, Recover, Yawn, and Sludge Bomb. Of course, we have some TMs and stuff, so we may switch up the movesets. Sandman, the Crustle with X-Scissors, Shell Smash, Rock Slide, and Dig. Electro, the Galvantula with Signal Beam, Electro Web, Agility, and Electro Ball. We have a beastly Pokemon, Chameleon the Escavalier with Iron Head, Poison Jab, X-Scissor, and Aerial Ace. Our starter, Jackal the Scolipede with Mega Horn, Agility, Poison Jab, and Baton Pass. And rounding out the team is a beast of a Pokemon, Hobgoblin the Levani with Leaf Blade, X-Scissor, Swords Dance, and Shadow Claw. First up for the Elite Four, I decide to take on Chantal and her Ghost types. Now, she leads with a Cofferegus that has Will-O-Wisp. Getsus later on has a Cofferegus that has Toxic again. As I said earlier, knowledge is the key to winning this run. I lead Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin learned Swords Dance via level up, so we can set up a Swords Dance turn 1. Her Cofferegus is most likely going to go for Will-O-Wisp, which it does, and it connects. That burns us, lowering our attack, but I had a held Rossberry in anticipation of this, and now it's going to be a one-shot sweep with Shadow Claw. This is an amazing Pokemon, and it has done me a very, very good job getting through the Unova region. Losing our Swarm ability does not matter as the Cofferegus goes down. Out comes out Chandelure because it's fire typing, but we outspeed it and one-shot it with a +2 super effective Shadow Claw. Jellicent comes out. I opt to go for Shadow Claw against this thing, easily one-shotting it. We did not activate its Curse Body ability, which would have disabled Shadow Claw. Would not have mattered as the Golurk comes out because this thing is part ground type, so we could have fired off a stab super effective Leaf Blade that would have one-shot it, but I decided to go for Shadow Claw that one-shots it as well. I decided to take on Grimsley and his Dark-type Pokemon next. We have a pretty stacked team against Dark-type Pokemon. He leads Scrafty and I lead Sandman. Now my plan once again is to do a little bit of setup and then sweep his entire team. Shell Smash turn 1 is a little bit dangerous because I know we're going to outspeed, which means this thing's going to hit us with a Brick Break with our lower defense. It is neutral, but still, it is worrisome. I boost my attack, special attack, and speed with the Shell Smash, and then we get hit with the aforementioned Brick Break. that even a critical hit we would have survived. We can now fire off a Bug Gem boosted X Scissor to tank out the Scrafty. Without the Bug Gem, that is not a one-shot. The reason for the setup is as the Crocodile comes out, we get hit with that Intimidate, dropping us to +1 attack. No matter, a +1 stab super effective X Scissor takes out the Crocodile. Bisharp is then out third for Grimsley. We outspeed it and go for Dig. It's not stab, but it is +1 and super effective and does one shot. Liepard is his last Pokemon. It's going to outspeed us with a priority fake out, doing a little bit of chip damage, but then we can fire off that stab super effective X Scissor, one-shotting it, winning us this matchup in the Elite Four. We also have a great matchup against Caitlyn and her psychic types. Outside of Jackal, everybody can easily take on this battle, but Chameleon has the highest attack stat of our team. As a matter of fact, it's not going to require any setup to one-shot sweep her entire team, starting with Reuniclus going down to a stab super effective X Scissor. Out next is Gothitelle. It does outspeed us, but it just sets up a Calm Mind, which is annoying, but it does not matter as an X Scissor connects and easily one-shots. Sigilyph then comes out next. It does outspeed us and hit us with an Air Slash, and it gets the flinch annoyingly. Air Slash misses the next turn, and we connect with an X Scissor to one-shot it, and this just leaves her Musharna. Musharna goes down the same way as everybody else before it with a single X Scissor. Last up for the Elite Four is Marshall, and once again, his team is going to be very annoying for my team. Every single one of his Pokemon either have Stone Edge or Rock Slide to deal with my bug types. I have a plan. We're going to go back to a similar strategy that we used against Bryson. Turn 1, I go for Agility with Jackal, and then we get hit with a very nasty Stone Edge. Provided it doesn't crit, we survive, and we do on 51 HP. This means now we can baton pass our speed boost to Chameleon, who tanks a Stone Edge on the swap in very nicely. I have to do a little bit more setup. I go for Swords Dance to get our attack up. This is so that we can start one-shotting Pokemon. We tank another Stone Edge very nicely, and then I can go for a +2 Aerial Ace to one-shot throw. Now as the sock comes out, I don't have any plan to deal with its sturdy. All I can do is go for Iron Head, thinking it was going to do a little bit of chip, but it puts it into its sturdy. We then tank a Stone Edge on 35 HP, and now we have it in a heal lock. Marshall goes for a full restore. I go for Aerial Ace, dropping it back down to its sturdy. Marshall goes for a full restore, and I go for an Aerial Ace, dropping it back down to its sturdy. He's out of healing items, and I outspeed, so we can take it out with one more Aerial Ace, and now we are primed up for his last two Pokemon. We outspeeded one-shot the Conkeldurr with Aerial Ace, and Mienshao also is outsped and taken out with an Aerial Ace. Very nice. Deathless Elite Four. We, of course, then have all the Team Plasma storyline stuff that we've seen time and time again. I wanted to show off this cutscene because it's pretty cool watching the Darkstone turn into Zekrom. These Generation 5 games have a lot of storyline stuff to them, as most Pokemon games do. As a Nuzlocke playing through these games multiple times, I wish the storyline stuff, we could just not even go through it. But to be fair, these games were never intended to be played a dozen times the way most of us do. Still, the cutscenes are cool to see. You got to think about the hardware that was being used at the time, which was the DS. This is pretty powerful stuff for the time. Speaking of powerful, we have to take on N for the final time, and he leads the legendary Reshiram. I spent a lot of time thinking about how I wanted to do this battle because I needed to be primed for Getsus immediately afterwards, and we're leading Sandman. Sandman survives a neutral fusion flare as long as it doesn't crit, which it doesn't, leaving us at 24 HP. We then connect with a Rock Gem boosted Rock Slide that is a range that we get to one-shot the Reshiram. Crustle is a freaking beast one-shotting a box legendary. This does bait out the Caracosta, which is going to go for Aqua Jet because of our rock typing, so I swap into Jackal, who tanks it very nicely. I then set up an Agility, and I have to tank a Stone Edge that we just avoid. Perfect. We can now baton pass our speed boost to Chameleon, as we've done time and time again. Stone Edge connects on the swap in, doing a decent little bit of damage, and then we can break Caracosta's sturdy with X Scissor. It misses its Stone Edge, which means we go unpunished in this battle once again, and can fire off a Steel Gem boosted Iron Head to knock it out. I probably didn't need that, but I was trying to be safe. Kling Kling comes out next, but it's not Kling Kling. I know it's Zoroark with Flamethrowers, so we fire off a Stab super effective X-Scissor, knocking out the Zoroark. This brings in Archeops. Oh boy. I spend a good minute thinking about what I want to do here, and ultimately I decide to risk it. And Acrobatics leaves us at 10 HP and could have easily one-shot any one of our team members. A Stab super effective Iron Head is enough to take out the Archeops, so I do go unpunished. Kling Kling is then out next, and I decide to swap into Mysterio. We get hit with a Flash Cannon on the swap in that leaves us just above half health, so we can survive another one as I go for Yawn. I really didn't know what to do here. We get hit with a Thunderbolt sitting at 22 HP, and I need to swap. I bring in Electro, who gets hit with a Thunderbolt on the swap in, not doing much damage, and the Kling Kling falls asleep. I then go for Electro Web, which leaves this thing at half health, so I'm hoping another one will take it out, but unfortunately it leaves it at a sliver. It then wakes up and hits us with a nasty Hyper Beam down to 44 HP, and we can fire off an Electro Ball, taking out the Kling Klang. This just leaves for us the Vanillix. I decide to swap into Jackal. Again, I was not 100% sure what we were going to do here, as we avoid a Blizzard. We fire off a Mega Horn that does massive damage to Vanillix, and it just sets up the Hail. One more Mega Horn connects, winning us a deathless battle against N. A little bit crazy, but we made it through. Immediately following the N battle, we have the Ultimate Trainer, Ghetsis. He leads with a Cofferegus that has Toxic and Protect to stall us out. Sandman is still up front, and my plan here is to swap into one of two Pokemon that are immune to Poison-type moves, Set Up and Sweep. I swap into Jackal on a Toxic that of course is avoided, and now we can implement my plan. We start off by setting up an Agility, and then of course we get hit with a nasty Psychic that if it had crit would have one-shot us, but we go unpunished as we Baton Pass our Speed Boost to Chameleon. We get hit with a Shadow Ball on the swap in that we resist very nicely, and then start setting up Swords Dance. We get hit with another Shadow Ball down to 82 HP, and Cofferegus opts to go for Protect as we set up a second Swords Dance. A third Swords Dance and Shadow Ball later, we're sitting at 48 HP as we fire off a Stab Iron Head that one-shots the Cofferegus. Now my calculations were incorrect because we do not outspeed the Hydreigon, and it takes us out with a Surf. The first death of the run. I swap in Mysterio and go for Bug Buzz, that with the Life Orb takes Hydreigon down to a sliver of health. Luckily for us, it misses a Fire Blast. Ghetsis goes for a full Restore, and then we can get a back-to-back Bug Buzz to take out the Hydreigon. Bisharp then comes out next, and I need a safe swap into Sandman, so I just go for a Yawn with Mysterio, and then unfortunately get taken out with a Night Slash. That's not how I wanted that to go at all. We can then bring in Sandman a little earlier than anticipated. I do set up a Shell Smash, lowering our defenses, which is a bit scary as Bisharp goes for Stone Edge. That leaves us on 2 HP. It does then fall asleep, so I opt to go for a second Shell Smash because I didn't know if we could one-shot this thing from the range that we were at. But as it stays asleep, I can fire off an X-Scissor one-shotting it, and now we can sweep the rest of his team. Seismitoad goes down to a +4 stab. Bug Buzz and Bouffalant falls the exact same way. Electros is the last Pokemon out, so I switch it up for a Rock Slide, and that is Ghetsis defeated. And that's it. We beat Pokemon White with only bug types. We did lose 2 at the end here, which is unfortunate, but the fact that these 6 bugs made it through the entirety of Unova is absolutely amazing. Aselgor, not a great Pokemon. I probably should have caught the Durant in the Victory Road and brought it, but it is what it is. It did have a place at the very end there being a sacrificial lamb. These games are always fun to run, and I have 10 tons of fun doing these Nuzlocks. I cannot wait to get this one edited so I can get started on the next one. I hope you guys are enjoying these as much as I am. They have been fun each and every week to do. As always, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing if you're new to the channel, and just like every single time before this one, I will see you on the next one.